So if you're anything like me in the morning, you probably enjoy the wonderful aroma of coffee. But for a number of years, I did not like the taste of coffee. So a friend of mine introduced me to a different type of coffee, and it is a Turkish coffee. And so I started making this, and I really enjoy it. So I'm going to give you a little demo today on how you make Turkish coffee. First of all, when you're making Turkish coffee, it is a bit more like an espresso, and it's not a lot of coffee. You don't use a large amount or drink a large amount. And when you the coffee itself is ground much more fine than traditional coffee. It almost has the consistency of flour, as you can see here. And so what you do is they recommend approximately a teaspoon, or kind of a heaping teaspoon per cup of coffee that you're going to be drinking. And so you'll add this into the pot. So this is typically the way that Turkish coffee is made, and you can find these coffee pots on Amazon as well. I'll put a link down in the description for this as well. One thing that is different about Turkish coffee is that before you start heating the coffee, you actually will mix the coffee and the sugar together. This is what is typically done for Turkish coffee. Now, as far as the heat, you will want to use a medium heat. You don't want to have a high heat, and it will can take about 3 to 5 minutes to bring that to the right temperature. Now, there are several different degrees of sweetness that you can have your Turkish coffee. I like about a little less than a teaspoon for my personal taste. You can add a little bit more or less depending on how you prefer the coffee to taste. And if you were served coffee in a Turkish home, they will typically ask you how you want your coffee, and you can tell them that you want it with no sweetener, with a little sweetener, or with a lot of sweetener. And that I've never tried it with more than what I am using here, but I've heard that they will actually have almost double the amount of sugar as what I have put in here. But personally, I think that would be a bit too much sugar for my personal taste. And the amount of water that you use will be the size of the cup that you're going to be drinking out of. So since this is the size of cup that I'll be drinking, then I'll add this to the pot. And I've watched various different YouTube videos where people have made coffee and traditional Turkish coffee. Some people have many various methods of the way that you make this coffee. So the way that I have made my coffee and the way that I like it is you don't do any other stirring until the coffee is ready to be served. Now, when making the coffee, it's very important to follow a couple of specific rules. I've watched various videos that talk about making the coffee in different ways, and the friend of mine and I both have come to the similar conclusion that when you're making the coffee, that if you allow the coffee to come to a boil, it dramatically changes the taste of the coffee. You'll start to notice that there is foam that develops around the lip or around the ridge of the coffee, and some people, when they start to develop that little foam around the top, they will take a spoon and they'll scoop that foam off of the top. That is one method that you can do it. Another method is that you can just do what I'm going to do here, and that is, as soon as you see that foam develop along the top, you will then take your coffee and very slowly and carefully pour that into your cup. So you'll see as you're pouring that the foam that had come up to the top is, as you slowly pour it down along the side, it allows that foam to rise up to the top. So there is making a cup of Turkish coffee. If you have any questions, you can put those down in the comments below. Otherwise, if you have any, if you would like to purchase any of that coffee for yourself, I'll put links down in the description of where I got that on Amazon, as well as the little coffee container that I use, or the little coffee mug that I use to make my coffee. Also, one more thing about drinking Turkish coffee is that you don't want to drink the coffee all the way down to the bottom as you would a typical cup of coffee. So as you drink the coffee down to the bottom, the coffee grounds will settle down at the bottom, and so the last sip or two of your coffee you want to leave there. Otherwise, you'll kind of drink up some coffee grounds as you're drinking the last sip or two there. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or comments, you can put those down below, and we'll see you again the next time.